Hey guys, welcome in Unpaved. Sean Salisbury here. Man alive. I know it's Tuesday, but it feels like that Monday coming out of that first weekend of college football. And you know what I love about this is that now you're bringing what you saw as opposed to all the offseason and speculation. What's this transfer guy going to do? How's Mateer at Oklahoma going to be bringing these quarterbacks back? How's the defense? What's Belichick going to do? All this will hit. But if you're watching your national shows that you watch in the mornings or listening to your shows or watching these podcasts or anybody else, now they got to show up or shut up. The hot takes of this team sucks and, Arch Manning's a bust or Arch Manning's going to the Hall of Fame. You'll get all that now, and some will feed off it even more. But now the proof is right now you get to go watch it, see tape, and then talk about it, not only college with the NFL right around the corner. It was a hell of a start to the college football weekend. And this is it, because now we get to talk about what happened and then obviously preview what's going to happen, whether it's in the NFL or college. But a good start to the first official week of college football. And we got a lot to break down. And now I get to introduce and bring in a buddy of mine who you've seen us work together before. He's been a producer of mine for a long time. He's been a co-host of mine as well. He lives in Chicago now. That's half the reason I lost him to be able to work with me regularly in a bunch of different things. And a dear friend is because he moved back to home in Chicago. But that's the great thing about this. It doesn't matter where they are. I get to bring him back. Adam Sager joins us now. He is a great sports. He'll be prepared every day, brings great energy and great banter. And I'm grateful to add him to the daily list right here and on this show on Unpaved. Segs, it's good to have you in, man. I know that this is while we talk, we love baseball and the rest of it, but this is our baby. I know how much you love your Michigan Wolverines and your quarterback that stole $12 million from LSU and got him in there.
Hey, I just got to say, I lost my first bet of the season because normally, I bet against USC.
Yeah,
and they went out and showed something they haven't shown in years. And they actually look good. So
did you guys get suspended again? Anybody from your school get suspended?
It's great to be back with you. We'll just gloss over that, and both teams are 1-0. That's all.
There you go. Mine offensively might have been a little more impressive than yours in the opener, but it was against both of us played teams that we are supposed to beat. Well, you had New Mexico, and we had our Missouri State. I was at the game, Segs.
Yeah.
Now it's not because my son Dodge is getting married. His in-laws were going to go, and one of his brother's future brother-in-law goes to school there. And so we decided last minute to go, and we were in the suite. It was awesome because we got to it was comfortable. The weather was perfect. But you're supposed to kick ass on teams, right, Segs?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you play these teams, you're supposed to. Now, we all know going in, my concern is how physical are we going to be on defense? I know Lincoln Riley's going to score. Shit.
Right.
Always scores. But I'm the physicality of when we face, it's Georgia Southern, and then we have Purdue. It's a minute before we get to Illinois, I think, in week 5 or something. And BLM's teams are always physical. So I got to see what our team does there. But I saw the one thing we always have, Segs, is, and hell, I usually lose money betting against my Trojans. I actually bet them this week, and I actually made money. But I'm going to stay away because I bet with my emotions with them. And I've talked to you a million times, but, dude, they just cost me more money. So I stay out of it. But they kicked ass offensively, and they should have. But Segs, their team speed and perimeter people are pretty friggin' good, and their quarterback's a playmaker. But, the real test isn't coming until down the road. So they both got off to the start. Both of them will be around. I just don't know how physical our offense or our defensive front's going to be when we run into teams like you guys that we get you guys at home this year. That'll be the real test, is how physical we are in the Big Ten for year 2.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's when it always comes down to for – Oregon, even, we saw them beat some good teams and then lose with some physicality. So it's different to see the teams moving into the Big Ten, how they deal with that. But it was a fun first weekend. I mean, what a set of games we had. And it started with a bang with Ohio State and Texas. I don't know, Sean, Arch Manning, I wasn't impressed. The mechanics were all over the place. It looked like he was backing away from hits when he was trying to throw the ball. Like, there was a lot of stuff that concerned me for the phenom that everybody wants to call him out there in Texas.
Segs, I gave you $1,000 and said bet the over by the end of the season. How will we be talking about him? Do you think we'll be talking about him more? He's closer to the hype or further away from it? What do you think you're going to be saying? If I gave you $1,000 and you had to bet it, what would you bet?
I'm never going to bet against a Manning because got all the family and the coaching, and Sark is a great offensive mind who will continue to build the offense around him in different ways. But it was rough. And I know Ohio State's the reigning national champs, but that's not the same defense that they had last year. They lost a lot of key members, and they showed up and played well. They stopped the run. Baxter didn't get going off his injury, and that game surprised me just how low scoring it was. Ohio State didn't set the world on fire on offense either. So It was a surprising first game, jumping off at the 11 o'clock hour.
Yeah, Segs, and I would bet I would take the 1,000 towards Manning will look closer to being the guy we expected than not. But listen, when you get to this point, and you know my affinity for the Mannings, he'll be mentally prepared. You understand, even if he'd have had a 400-yard game, he would have gone back to work like he didn't. So I know about the family. Now, listen, it's not his fault we crowned him world champion before and Hall of Famer before. Now, that comes with, you're a Manning and your reputation and all those things that go with it. So really, you can't win for losing or vice versa, but he's not above criticism. And that first game, if we took away the name on the back of the jersey and weren't afraid to criticize, but you know what? Peyton and Eli will criticize, and so will Cooper. They're not, and they'll sit down, but they won't meddle in what he's doing. They'll let Sark handle that, and they should. Things that stuck out in this game for me, big time. One is Arch Manning's mechanics have got to improve, Segs, especially under duress. His arm angle in clean pocket, I know off schedule matters. His arm angle in clean pockets was not good. Now, if you're Matt Stafford and you've thrown for 8 million yards, I'll let you get away with it, but your feet got to be in position. In this case, you can't sustain great accurate throwing from clean pocket, sidearm to three-quarter arm angle. Now, understand if that's where he lives when he was in high school and college, but the accuracy fluctuates. It just does. Now, you're going to have to make plays off schedule. I get that part, but I was alarmed at his footwork in the pocket, Segs. The last throw where he was parallel to the line of scrimmage, and through there, all he had to do is flip his hips and throw it to the flat, and that guy's out the door. Not only a first down, they're going to drive. Yeah. And through all this, they still had a chance to win. Mechanics, they have got to improve. And Segs, you know this. Mechanics for those Brady, I'm just using the comparison to a great mechanics quarterback. When it shit hit the fan or when it was nut cutting time, his mechanics got better.
Yes.
And I know this is one game that we overreact to everything. And they played Ohio State, so it's pretty friggin' good in their building. So I get it. But we can't make excuses because he's not going to. They weren't as aggressive as I wanted. I thought his mechanics were off, and I thought his arm angle in clean pockets was not just off, but quite frankly, a bit alarming just for that game. Now, moving forward, we'll see. You got to clear all that clutter out. But it made him make the spectacular throw one time and then miss two throws when you got to make them. He was late on the throw to the right sideline on that one. And then you saw him make a great throw on the comeback in the second half.
Yes.
Bam, throws it to the outside shoulder. So we know he's got it in him. But his mechanics are going to have to get better. And I didn't think, as much as I love Sark, and I think he's one of the 3 or 4 best play callers in the world, let alone college football, I thought he came out and played to protect as opposed to not protection up front, but played to just let's run it a little bit. Let's get him going. I didn't think he used his legs enough in designed runs because that's a strength of Arch's.
Right.
And I felt like he came out in the second half, said, you know what, I'm going back to who I am. And they got aggressive and they got better because then you don't think as much as a quarterback. You just go play. The stats don't mean shit to me, and I'm sure they don't mean it to him. The stat of winning and the inaccuracy in duress was a problem that they're going to have to fix. And they will. They'll have 2 or 3 weeks to get it right before they face another good opponent, as do a lot of these teams. But if you took the name off the back of the jersey, you'd say that guy's got a ways to go. We know he doesn't have as much mental weight because he's a Manning, and we know they're prepared. Yeah. But Segs, if you took the jersey name off, you'd say potential, made some great throws, the whole shot to the left and down the stretch there, great throw. But I always say this, Segs, and I've preached this, and you know this since we've been working together for years now. You got to make the simple play. In a game like that, you got to make the 5-yard shallow cross. You got to make the guy curl that's sitting in the hole or the dig route over the middle with a window because those windows will start to shrink. And I thought Matt Patricia's game plan was fantastic. And the one thing we don't talk about enough, Segs, you've known this. When Michigan's good, they dominate the line of scrimmage on offense, correct? Run it, throw it, play action. And Ohio State's quarterback's good. Is that four starting offensive linemen are gone. So with Texas, they had to play four new guys. There's four new starters. And go back and watch the last play of the game. 11 comes off the edge in a three-man rush.
Yep.
The right tackle doesn't touch him.
Do it.
He steps inside, free runner, which got him there. Arch couldn't get anything on it. The tackle behind the line of scrimmage, behind the first down sticks, and the ball game over. So there's a lot of things. It's not one guy, but we're going to judge Arch Manning, and we should. We should. He's not above the criticism, just like he won't be below the compliments. He'll deserve them. But it was an average start that had great moments, and both Stark and their offense segs are going to have to get better. And Arch Manning knows that as well.
Yeah, I think once they get Baxter and Wisner going with the running game
and commit more to it, right, Segs?
Yeah,
don't they got to commit to it more? Yeah.
I mean, when you got that dynamic duo back there, that with Baxter coming off the injury, everybody thought he'd be in the NFL now. Well, with the big injury last year that made him miss most of the season, he comes back. Now you're very good in that backfield. So once they get rushing the ball like they should and get, like you said, new offensive linemen going, it will make everything easier for Arch. And yes, he's in his third year at Texas. It's really
was a rookie though, Segs. He played.
Yes.
This is a big game he finally played in, right?
Yes, this is his real first test.
Right.
So it did surprise me though that Julian Sayin, the Ohio State quarterback, outplayed him. I thought coming in that Arch would come in and feel comfortable even on the road, but Sayin came out. He played well. He wasn't asked to do a ton. The guy who surprised me by playing the worst was Jeremiah Smith. I think he had 3 drops in the game.
And legitimate drops, Segs. It wasn't fake drops. Yeah.
Square in the hands. It wasn't like a deep throw, 40 yards. It was right at the line of scrimmage. He did not show up in this game much at all. And that was the most surprising thing out of this game. It wasn't that Ohio State's defense was great or even Texas's defense was really good.
Yeah, they played a good football game too.
Yeah, he didn't show up, and it wasn't that they weren't trying to get him the ball. They were getting him the ball. He was dropping it, or they were just missing the play.
Here's 2 things I know by the end of this, or 3 things. One is Arch Manning's going to play better.
Yes.
I promise you. 2 is he's not going to drop 3 balls in a game, Segs. And lastly, in late November, come when you're eating your turkey and we're sitting down to stuffing and you're thumbing your nuts, okay, because we're tired and want to take a nap on the couch after a 6-pack of beer that you and I are going to drink on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes,
that both of them will be in playoff position.
Yes,
I don't know where, but they will be in playoff position. And you won't be talking nearly like we people are about Arch today. You may not have him in the College Football Hall of Fame. And I think that if it goes and it gets better, do not be shocked, no matter if he's going to be the 10th pick of the draft, that this guy comes back and plays another year next year, because I think it's a methodical plan. There's no rush. And the rush is this year to get right, and they'll go back to work. They'll be better, and they'll sew it up. And he'll have 3 weeks to make. But you can't miss. Say the opening throw that he threw on that sail, the 18-yarder that he snapped in the ground on their first, and then they didn't get the first down. Think about this. They didn't get the first down at midfield the next series. He threw, or maybe it was even the first series, but he threw that one wide open by 15 yards on the right side. And it was like I can't remember if he came from the far slot or the near slot, but it was like a sail route or an over route that he had the guy sitting right there, and he snapped it 5 yards before him and missed it. And then they didn't get a first down on 4th down at midfield. And then they got 2 times in the red zone where they got shut down. They denied points. They came in with no points. So you're sitting there thinking, okay. And even then, they had a chance in the end to win the game. Both teams are going to improve, and both quarterbacks are going to have to expand their game one way or the other, as are the offense. Matt Patricia had a good plan, Segs. He had a really good plan. And for a guy who hadn't sniffed college football in 20 years, it was impressive.
Yeah, he showed up and really had a great game plan for that Texas offense. Jumping to another game, we talk about teams that we're going to be talking about when the playoff time rolls around, like they're a real contender for the playoffs. Is Kalen DeBoer in trouble in Tuscaloosa? Because they looked like garbage. They weren't tough like we normally see Alabama. Florida State was doing whatever they wanted, and then he comes out after the game and says, like, we practice for tough venues and stuff like this. But he said even this was over the top. They were booing us when we touched the ball. I don't know that Kalen DeBoer is made for Tuscaloosa, made for that Alabama program, made for the SEC with the way he's talking. I mean, I was shocked by that game. And Simpson
was
didn't
too.
even play a horrible game.
Right.
Simpson, the new quarterback taking over for Milroe. I mean, and what worries me, Sean, is they got beat up in this game by Florida State. Let's go back to their last game last year against Michigan in some dumb bowl game where they played everybody. Michigan didn't play their first round picks and all this, and they still got their ass kicked by Michigan. So that's 2 games in a row where you're kind of thinking bigger game, opening game against Florida State at Tallahassee, and you come out and just get beat up. That's not the Alabama way.
No, it isn't. Segs, and you listen, I can always recover when you knock me out with a flailing right hook in a box. Round 7, you're swinging, missing. You miss, but I walk into a right hook and you knock me out. It's like, oh, hell no, dude. I want a rematch. Screw that.
Yeah.
You landed a lucky one. That's where that finesse team comes in. You hit the deep ball when a guy double move go. It's the body blows. That guy who comes in and keeps hitting you in the gut. It's like, damn, screw this rematch. I've had it. Alabama used to deliver them. They haven't delivered those body blows in 2 years.
Right.
And I believe the top thing, you have to have great leadership in a program, and you have to have buy-in. It better start there. And Segs, now I say this, I thought Kalen DeBoer was going to be a hell of a hire. I'm sure I did. Coming from Washington, which is a physical program, yet with Penix, they had the best offensive line in the country when he was in Washington. So you're thinking, okay, Washington's when Don James, this is a Warren Moon, this is a blue blood. It's been around. It doesn't get the credit for it. It's been around a long time. I had to play them every year, and they were always brutal to play, right? Well, Kalen DeBoer, I thought, okay, good hire. Well, you never want to be the guy replacing the guy. That's a fact.
Right.
You want to do what Vrabel did. You let Gerard Mayo, and then you say, well, maybe I could jump in after that and get to Belichick. Saban to this, no matter what you do, you're in trouble. You better win them all, or they're going to say, we need Nick back. I don't know if he's going to survive at Segs, and here's why. When you start admitting some of the things you admit, Alabama doesn't want to hear it. And although Washington's a big-time program, it ain't Tuscaloosa on a Saturday. It's just not. Saban's built something different. Even than when Bear Bryant was there, it's been different. They don't look like they bought in. I've never seen a team that is supposed to be this good and with this reputation run around like they didn't give a shit. It looked, and I don't want to say everything, it looked like they were disinterested, loafing. I don't coach. Listen, any coach that's got a coach effort, you might as well quit now. If you got a coach effort, either you quit now or you better find players that don't have to coach effort. The effort by number 18, I don't even know his name right now, Segs, 18 on defense. It looked as if he was trying to get pinned behind people. The effort sucked. And there was a bunch of that. And fans in Alabama not only expect more, they deserve more. It looked like a team that was overwhelmed, ill-prepared. There's no fucking way, pardon my French, that you can prepare right and have a great week of practice and show up like that. There's no way. And for everybody that buried Mike Norvell's team, I got news for you. It shows you what a quarterback can do and what a team could do when you get the people back and healthy that you want. I think they were still devastated from the year before last year, Sigs.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, DJ Uiagalelei last year was not the answer. You were getting a guy, he just wasn't. And that's no disrespect to the kid. He just wasn't ready for that. He wasn't. He hadn't had his best game was a freshman against Notre Dame when he took over for Trevor Lawrence. We haven't seen it since. And that affected Florida State. They're going to be good now. I'm just telling you, they're going to compete, and they kick their ass up and down. If this continues, he won't make it through the season. He will not make it to a third season. Yet he's a good coach, Segs. But we say this, but is he good enough for the SEC? For the grind of that every week? For the fans, it's booing you on the road. You expect it, and you should get it. Yeah. That's a sign of respect. Booing you at home's like, dude, you're in over your head. And I know he knows football, but this is different, Segs. Managing the Yankees is different than managing the Colorado Rockies.
Yes.
Managing the Tampa Bay Rays, as good as their franchise has been, is different than managing the Boston Red Sox. It just is. Whether you want to say it or it just is. And Alabama is the Yankees, is the Lakers, is the Celtics, is the Bulls, right? Is the Montreal Canadiens, is the Chicago Blackhawks. That's who it is. And it's different. Fan bases are different. 9-3 is not good enough. I went through that at SC when Coach Robinson was there. Yeah. But if we won 9 or 10 games, it was a good season. We got beat by Notre Dame, and then you don't win the Rose Bowl. It's like, or playing the Rose Bowl back then, it was like, good season, but it better improve, right?
Right.
That's why, and it did. But you can't, in Alabama, 9-3 is for the other guys. not for Alabama. And Kalen DeBoer, you're as good as that guy leads you. And right now they'll win some games, but I'm going to tell you, Segs, if that's the effort you're going to give and a coach has to coach effort, you recruited the wrong guys. Simple.
Well, and we're going to find out in 2 weeks. They got Wisconsin coming to town, which isn't like this world beater program, but they're known as tough.
They will test them at the line of scrimmage. Yeah.
Punch you in the mouth every single play. Then they have Georgia coming a couple weeks later.
And we still don't know who Georgia is, right, Segs? But we know one thing. Kirby Smart wants a fist fight. And and you know what? For his friend Nick, you know what it's going to be. He's going to try to bury him even more to send a message to the place he was. No doubt about it. Kalen DeBoer's got some work to do to get some buy-in, Segs, with you.
Yeah. I mean, and then you have Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma in a stretch later in the season.
They're not making the playoff. You know that, right?
I mean, with how they looked week 1, I don't know how anybody can say that they're sniffing the playoffs.
Fan base won't. I know they don't want to hear it, but they're probably saying the same thing. Like I said, that fan base has high expectations. There's 3 minimal losses on that schedule. If the teams you just named continue to improve, LSU's. I mean, you went through that. I can name every single team.
Yeah,
that you named showed up better in the first week.
Oh,
they just did. So Alabama, it's one game, just like Arch Manning, just like anybody else. Clemson, who I'm sure we're going to get you struggled. I can tell you they'll be, but I'm not sure that the effort's enough. I know that Clemson's going to win a bunch of games now, Segs.
Yes.
I'm still not sure if is it far-fetched to say Alabama could win 7 games this year, 8 games after their first performance? It looks like it looks like that type of team, doesn't it?
Right.
It just does. The optics.
When we're questioning effort, when we're questioning toughness, when we're questioning undisciplined football, that's a problem. It's not like Texas where you lost a 7-point game on the road in the horseshoe against a very good reigning champion Ohio State Buckeyes.
Segs, real quick, do you know what? I want you to imagine for 1 second what practice would be like if Nick Saban was coaching that team today, if they gave that same effort.
They would.
The problem is Kalen DeBoer had to do that 3 or 4 times. I mean, already. Right.
Yeah.
He's had to do it 3 or 4 times already, which starts to tell me, is there buy-in from the players to the coach? Because no matter how good you coach, if they don't have buy-in, it won't matter.
Right.
And I got guys loafing around in a big game against Florida. It's almost as if they thought Florida State was a hack. Florida State proved that real quick, didn't they? Yeah.
Right.
Bad performance. It was ugly.
Yeah. They just showed up and didn't actually play the game. Best win of the weekend, LSU over Clemson. I mean, they looked really good. And crazy thing is, I think LSU still has like 3 or 4 other gears offensively that they weren't able to show in this game against Clemson. And like you said, Clemson's going to go win a lot of games. They play in the ACC. They're going to win a lot of games. But LSU, from just the week 1 view of what we saw, they're dangerous. They're a dangerous team in the SEC.
Segs, I felt going in that they were a playoff team, but then you start to roll through how good the SEC is, right? I mean, deep. And the quarterback position, the SEC, they got some, it's deep. I mean, you get down to Vanderbilt, and their quarterback's a really good player. I mean, it's a deep quarterback conference. Well, they went into an environment that's brutal. You know, both of them claim it's Death Valley, and LSU wanted to send that message, as we well know. Brian Kelly doesn't win opening games with LSU because he hasn't won one until this one.
Right.
But the key to this whole thing is it feels like when a guy comes back for another year like Burrow, like Jaden Daniels, although Burrow was a different coach, Jaden Daniels and Nussmeier making the decision to come back. Veteran, the stats are going to come, and his stats were good. Did you see, in deference to some of the other quarterbacks, you mentioned Arch Manning, how Nussmeier's play elevated late, Segs?
Yes.
Poised, calm, keep the ball, not turn it over, be smart, aggressive enough, yet smart enough not to throw it to the other team because and then the defense got after him. The final play, not to let Klubnik set his feet to have a chance. All those things, I thought, and they're going to get better running it. We know that they're going to score more because they got a quarterback. Segs, the one thing I'm not sure right now that we have a quarterback. Klubnik's in the mix, but I'm talking about not more gifted, but that's in as much control of what they're trying to get accomplished at the line of scrimmage than Garrett Nussmeier's. Obviously, a coach's son. Nussmeier can play. Those big fellas up there control, and look at that, 1 sack allowed, and they protected the quarterback the entire time. When those guys up front are good, the perimeter people at LSU are always going to have game breakers. Nussmeier could be the difference. I knew it was a playoff team. I literally think it's a national championship caliber team and a Final Four team. I think they're that good because of the veteran quarterback, but they have both finesse and they can physical your ass to death, and that's who LSU's always been when they win.
Yeah, I mean, after week 1, Garrett Nussmeier is your quarterback that you trust the most in the country.
No question.
I mean, Klubnik's really good. Sellers had
is a beast. He's a monster, dude. Yeah.
Those are the 3 right now that are going to be in that projection for the number 1 pick come next year, and rightfully so. And then we'll see if Arch Manning can sneak his way in there. But like you said, he may come back for another year. But Nussmeier, you just trust him when the game gets tight, when you need a big play, he's going to go at least to the right situation, to the right receiver, to the right play call. He's going to adjust and do what he needs to do to take LSU to where they need to be. And you're right. They're a true national title contender from what we saw in week 1.
Right. Yeah. And without putting everybody in the playoff now, there's still a lot of football to play, but they didn't beat a hack either. They bought a team, and you talk about what a shock. You mean LSU's cornerback are good? Yeah. Whenever you mention a wide receiver or corner at LSU, I say, oh, shocker.
Yeah.
But take a look at the way they played.
They built.
They defended. They didn't get – and Klubnik is a monster, and he's got great feet too. They limited everything for him. Yeah. It was a hell of a game plan going in. And LSU – and the one thing at LSU, when you go play there, it's a brutal environment they have to go play in, and you're going to get those games home. LSU's dangerous, and LSU does have the most trusted quarterback in the country by not just the own place. If you're an outsider looking in, how can you not point to LSU and say, if I needed something done, that he's at the top of the list for guys that can make everything happen, and he doesn't usually get you beat. He threw some uncharacteristic interceptions last year that are not like him.
Right.
He will clean that up. He came back, and it was a wise move because now he's got a chance not only to win a national championship and be a Heisman Trophy winner, but the trifecta where he can go be a top 5 pick, possibly the first pick in this draft. People love guys with high football IQ that don't get you beat. He's going to win a lot of games and be aggressive without getting you beat by being aggressive. I was impressed with this performance against a hell of a Clemson team. Now, Clemson's defense, we expected them to elevate like they did during their national championship, and they're going to have to get better and create more pressure on an offensive line, which they will. But they ran into a pretty damn good team in that, in those uniforms, and it was an impressive win on the road this week. Even more impressive than Ohio State because Ohio State had theirs at home.
Right, exactly. And the last big game, Miami Notre Dame, was Sunday night in Miami. Rainstorm. I mean, it was raining like crazy all day long there in Miami. Just what were your thought process seeing Carson Beck, his first game at Miami, transferring from Georgia? Then we saw the young kid CJ Carr get his first start for Notre Dame. I thought both teams played well at times, but also I thought Miami went really soft with the play calling in the second half. Notre Dame went soft in the first half, and maybe they was trying to protect the young quarterback, but it was a very good game with Notre Dame coming back and then Miami winning it with that last second drive to kick the field goal. But neither team, I'm still saying like, okay, that's a national title contender.
I can see both battling the final 2 weeks of the season, battling for a playoff spot.
Yes,
I absolutely can. But I also, right now, their performance didn't tell me national championship Final Four just yet. Now, listen, I've seen this movie with Notre Dame before where you're like, man, are they that? They start off slow and you're like, how good are they? And before you know it, they're 10-1, right?
Right.
I think you got to take the governor off CJ Carr and let him go play, dude, because I think he's a player. And that doesn't bode. I know that you got to deal with him too, with two quarterbacks, 2 young players, Notre Dame and Michigan and Ohio State. That part of the country is going to have fun watching those quarterbacks right over the next few years. But I'm with you. Both teams at times were aggressive, and both teams at times feel like they played not to lose as opposed to win, which we see a lot early. But I think aside from the Miami, imagine there's a generation of players and kids in high school that have no idea what the Miami Hurricanes legacy is. And with Michael Irvin running up and down the sidelines, it felt like the energy. Now, again, it's one game, but it was an impressive win. You mentioned the most trusted quarterback. You know who I trusted very little going into this season? Not because he's not physically good, but I feel like mentally he lost a lot of confidence, was Carson Beck. When he left Georgia, there was this feeling of, who am I getting here? Because there was a time at Georgia when they were saying that's top 5 pick. And then the next thing you know, the guy can't throw up. And you're wondering what happened. So he leaves. And big questions for me going in. I thought if Miami doesn't do well in week 3, there'll be a new quarterback for them. Well, he stepped up. And Segs, I'm going to tell you, to get him in position and to win this game, with the win and all that being important, you know what might be the biggest thing is that your quarterback feels like he can play the position at a top level again. Now, I don't know if that's going to – I don't know how much – and this is just from my position, standing, knowing how it affected me, good and bad, and how you got to apply it. I think that he obviously didn't too much time pouting, and he's a confident kid, but he played confident. And that drive to get him in position, the final field goal, I was impressed with Miami. And just seeing Mike and Ray and all those guys, they want that tradition back. And maybe, just maybe, they're starting to head in the right. We've seen flashes over the years, but I'm talking about where they are. When they walk into the building, they expect to win, not hope to win. And there's a swagger about them. It looked a little more swaggerish, if that's a word, for Miami. But swagger goes away when you get hit in the mouth and don't respond. And we needed this game, Notre Dame and I love that rivalry. I love that contest. Neither one are a national caliber team, championship caliber team now, but both will be in contention when it's over as long as we see the progress we saw in that game.
College football is so much better when Miami and Florida State are good.
No doubt.
When those two are good, it just adds 2 more teams to an already long list of teams that will be fighting for the 12-team playoff. I think we're still in. I don't know. It's going to change 6 times.
It's 12 now.
Like
You'll blink it. It'll be 16. That's exactly
and then we'll be at 64 before we know it. And there'll be 4 regular season games. And,
and none of those will matter. Win one against a good team and you'll be good. But it was a good college week. Let me ask you, Siggs, what did you expect from Belichick in North Carolina?
Not that. Not getting your doors blown off by TCU in week 1. I thought,
especially after that first drive, you're thinking, man, North Carolina's offense looks pretty good, right?
Let's look at none other than Skip Bayless's tweet. Oh, Bill's got a national title winning offense after 1 drive, and then they do absolutely nothing after.
Give him 42 or some unanswered points.
Yeah, talk about a jinx of all jinxes. But yeah, I just expected them to be more prepared going into the game. That, it wasn't against, you weren't playing Alabama of Nick Saban's and any of these top tier teams. You're playing a good program in TCU, kind of what I would like to see North Carolina jump off with a program like TCU, not play, I don't know, UL Monroe or somebody like that.
Right.
Give me a good test. And they scheduled it and it did not work because they got beat up.
Saying a couple things at my vantage point, that I was concerned with going in. They constantly, Mike Lombardi and that team talked about creating an NFL atmosphere, right? At North Carolina.
That's what it's building to.
No doubt. And it is all the way around. But even creating an NFL atmosphere, when I hear them say that, it's not just, it's NIL and it's transfer. We're going to treat them like pros. It's also the way you scheme teams and the rest of it. And here's what you've got to guard against, which I was wondering how Patricia, with all that gap, how was he going to get too complicated for his own players? The whole goal for me as an offense is to create one-on-one matchup, to create mismatches on offense, so the defense, it looks complex to them, but simple for us. And you flip it. You want quarterbacks to be tripping over at the line of scrimmage where you're giving them all the disguises and give them looks that makes it look complicated when really they, like Ohio State did, all that stuff, they rushed 3 on the final snap. Created a confusion, bam, get a sack. Or at least a hit that disrupted the play and didn't let him set his feet. With North Carolina, it's such a pro staff. Now, Steve, Belichick was in Washington, but he's a pro coach that was coaching college, not the other way around. It's always been so this staff, and so when I say where I'm going with this is, it's hard to take out what you've always done. Meaning, in high school, there's not a lot of coverage disguises. You play 3-4 coverages, Segs, and the defense usually, when they're pre-alignment, they tell you. When you get to college, they disguise some, but they don't disguise. They're not going to disguise their way out of being in the right position. When you get to the pros, the windows go coffee can size window, and the disguise becomes, boom, all this, and then you say, there's no way they're coming, and they come because the athletes are just different. Case in point, too, in that college game, the baited interception, the great job on the other side by TCU is the safety baited it. That's what you get. And that was no disguise. He baited him after the ball snapped. I'm not talking about pre-snap, because pre-snap looked like an easy throw to the flat, right? Well, what happens is, what I was concerned about, and I'm anxious to see how it goes, is would Belichick's staff be too complicated So guys are not in position where you can't think freely, where you're, instead of reacting, you're overthinking what you're trying to get done. And so it looked to me at times, because they even missed a couple where guys were running free and the quarterback, Hoover, didn't get to set his feet on the one down the right sideline. And where there was guys that were open that he missed, another guy down at the goal line who leaked into the middle of the field. All you have to do is throw a little. That's more points. I'm hoping, because you don't disguise as much. You don't have like in 15 coverages like you would in the NFL for any given game, man zone, red zone.
Right.
You go with what. I just hope that Bill's team, and I know you expect your players to learn, but sometimes you can overcoach schemes, Segs. It's better to go with 4 defenses and line up and get lined up right and get after it. Your alignment assignment, the oldest thing in sports, as opposed to me trying to disguise and give you looks that get my own defense out of position. So for me, one game is not it, but they looked ill-prepared. I don't think it was ill-prepared in Bill's case. I think it got to the point where it almost felt like the kids were overwhelmed and thinking too much. And then offensively, they just didn't go after that. They're not very talented right now, Segs. They're young at quarterback. They got a long way to go, but you got to guard against trying to coach Mike Vrabel and Lawyer Malloy and Rodney Harrison the same way you're coaching an 18-year-old that's used to playing cover 2, cover 3 quarters and cover 4 in high school.
Right.
And nobody can react when you're overthinking. So I'm wondering, and like I said, they don't have the same players that some of these other schools do.
Right. Perfect example. Everything you just mentioned last year, Michigan, who had, multiple first-round picks on their defense. They had one of the nation's best defense, but early in the season, Wink Martindale was brought in as the defensive coordinator.
All NFL, brother. Yes.
And they had been running the system that basically Wink created under Jesse Minter and Mike McDonald and stuff the years prior, because they were on Wink's staff with the Baltimore Ravens. But he came in and he said it took him a few weeks to realize he couldn't, because he wanted to basically show them what he built. Really
multiple,
built.
Right.
Yes,
multiple all the time. Almost feed the ego, right?
Yes. He wanted to show like, oh, these guys have taught you this system, but now we have to really show you the system because I'm the one who created it. And he said it took him time to realize, like, I don't have to do that. I can play it down a little bit, play the college game a little smarter, and add in my little tweaks here and there. And then they took off and were one of the best defenses in the country
because they're in the right place, Sigs. Right? If you're supposed to get to the flat as a strong safety and cover 3 sky, get your ass to the flat.
Right.
Instead of, oh my gosh, did he say hold, and then run? Then you're late to the flat and they're pounding the outside lane and a defense. And offenses can get to that point too. It's like, dude, less can be more. Make it look with formations like it's a lot, but you're really running. The 49ers and Cowboys in their Super Bowl years with Aikman and Montana, they'd run about 15 passes and like 4 or 5 runs. They would just dress it up so it looked like to the defense, like, oh my gosh, drag slant, curl flat, and all this new stuff we're doing with all the spread offenses. But you get more out of your team when you don't try to overcoach, because a lot of times you'll overcoach pre-snap read. Most of these guys are looking over to the coach on the sideline anyway, and coming back and they're telling them what side to work on the field. So your disguise, you're trying to do it against a coach that's reading it for the quarterback. Right. And pre-snap read's so important. But if you get to a point where you say, okay, pre-snap, you got to disguise some. But if you line up and a guy knows where to go as opposed to thinking and he's a reactor, things just get better. And Winkler, and look how the defense has evolved, as the season went on, and you got to put those players. Listen, everybody ain't got Michael Parsons rushing the passer, dog. So you have to make adjustments. And I'm just concerned that Bill, maybe you got to dial it down and play less. And I don't know how many different coverage they played last night, but it felt like they weren't reacting, that there was too much thinking. That second half went downhill so fast it was scary.
Yeah, it was just kind of crazy how I didn't expect that sort of game week 1 for Bill Belichick entering the college game.
Do you think the girlfriend, or the fiance now, or girlfriend?
I don't know. Did you see her on the field talking to him?
Damn what she did. She dialing it up.
They were literally, I think they were getting ready for a kickoff, or they were getting kicked off too. Yeah, probably and she was literally on the sideline talking to him. And
that will not be good, because Bill's always been in control. You don't even want to give the optics that she's calling plays for you. She's not, but you get.
And that's why I was so surprised. Week 1, she's there, and someone had a great tweet. I don't know who it was. I just saw it. It just said it was a picture of her talking to him, and it was just like, oh, she's asking for $20 for the concession stands.
I saw another one where she's up like in a press box and said she had to leave early before the fourth quarter or something because she had to get home to curfew, basically, so she could get in bed for school or something the next day. Bill, listen, I know Bill doesn't care about those optics, but in truth, when you're not playing well, what is everybody going to go to?
Oh, exactly.
That. And it's not even us that matters. You know what it does? It's your players. They look over there and you're carrying on a conversation with your fiance. And in truth, I don't care if she's the ops person or not. You got to stay away from that. You just can't be a part of this, and you got to get out of the way. You're not a football coach, and she should not be down there. Put her in sweats too, walking in front of the players. There's just a different approach to football. She needs to be off the field. She just does.
But this goes back to when everything started, when he was hired there, that she was demanding things from the school, and Bill, by all accounts, let her do it. And it still seems like she's running the show, being on the field, talking to him while he's in the middle of a game.
They win 6 or 7 games. Do you think he gets fired? If she continues, if it feels like the relationship has become a distraction, does he get fired, or does he just quit?
Yes, if she is a big storyline, I think it's more he'll quit. It'll be he's quitting.
There'll be pressure, but he'll say, "I'm walking away. I got to."
Yes,
something else. Okay.
I don't think he'll be fired. I think he'll just step away and just say, I wanted to keep coaching, but I realized, it's just not something I can physically do at this time, and he'll walk away from. Which is why I just wish you're the greatest coach ever. Just walk off into the sunset, man. You don't need North Carolina. I know you're getting paid well, but
shows you how bad, right? It shows you how bad he loves it. It shows that he loves the game because he doesn't need the money.
Right.
But man, of all the guys in the world that you'd say one thing is not going to be a distraction, whether it's a family member, a woman, your wife, any of those things. Dude, there's one guy you'd say, name me 3 guys in the history of football that you said nothing on the outside or family will distract him from coaching. Now, they may not have good players.
Right.
It would have been him. He's at the top of that list because
100%.
what he made his players live by. Now, imagine this. Imagine Brady's wife was at the end of the Super Bowl celebrating, walking up to Tom during a game saying, "Hey, man,
just
whatever they're saying." Yeah, any conversation. The optics are bad, and it is a distraction. Bill would have
lit him up.
Yes.
If that happened.
In front of the whole team. Yes.
And now think about this. You're Steve Belichick. You're on the sidelines or up in the press box, wherever he's at. I'm not sure if normally he's on the field. That's where he's been. If he sees her walking on the field, what is he thinking? He's got to be like, "Dad, what the hell are you doing?"
And Dad, this is not you. Segs, some of the best come to Jesus talks and that's going to sound crazy, but some of the best come to Jesus talks I've had over the last handful of years when things are good and bad is my sons or daughter saying, "Dad, no, that ain't it." Whatever it could be anything. And you know what? It's true. There's some wisdom. They don't have to be 75 or 80 to get wisdom. You know what I mean? Right. And so sometimes the kid has to be the parent. I hate to say that. Where they say, "Do you lose a little focus here, man?" Just because what he did in the NFL, great, like you said, right off into the sunset. But you want to know how quickly people will try to tarnish it if he comes. They'll look at him and say, "That's how he went out? Oh, come on." He doesn't want that. And if you continue to let it happen and if you win, everybody will say no big deal. Bill's just Bill. The problem is you don't have enough good players to just throw your glove out on the mound and have that distraction. It's a bad optic, and especially coming from him. But some of the best, what Steve needs to do probably is to come to Jesus with Pops. And what's his dad going to do? Take away his scholarship? No, sometimes those conversations need to be had. I don't know if it affected any part of the game, Segs, but I know this. It's like anything. If you and I are on the same team or we're coaching a team or playing for an NFL team and we go play golf in March and we don't miss anything, and then I throw a pick, you're wide open, and I throw it over your head to the defense, they're going to say, well, if those two would have been playing golf in March, they'd have been on the same page.
Right. Yeah.
That's already what's happening today because of that visual. They're not going to show a missed tackle. They're going to show that. Right. That's what they're going to show. And there's a lot that needs to be fixed in North Carolina after 1 week.
And if you're Steve, what was all the talk after they were hired, then he was brought on as DC and everything? that it would kind of be like a Kelvin Sampson thing down there in Houston, where the
Right.
son would take over after what was hopefully a successful run or a successful tenure for Bill as
And
the head
guess who's
coach.
gonna-
Steve would just step in line.
And guess where the optics and the performance is that Kelvin's got the right guy in mind, and Kelvin's killing it here. And didn't let all that, even with family, he'll cut. He'd like get out of the way. Here's how we're doing it. He trusts them, but they know their spot with Kelvin.
Right.
Now Bill almost, I hate to say it, he may have to have a come to Jesus and say, listen, the next time you come down here, it's when we have a big win with the fans. Other than that, communicate with me before the game and not at halftime. I'll see you when it's over.
Yes.
And it just has to be that way. Plus, they got to get better. And I'm just concerned that sometimes you can overwhelm an 18-year-old with too much NFL scheming. We'll see if they can get lined up and do it again.
What were your thoughts on saw John Mateer played really well for Oklahoma, and he's going to be matched up next week against Michigan and Bryce Underwood. What were your thoughts on those
I think this is going to be a blast. Mateer's tough as hell.
He's
got an ad. Yeah, I like him. They've been missing this things. You know that Venables is going to have some defense show up. That's where he's carved out his career. Now you lost Levy is obviously gone, and he was gone, and then you got rid of your coordinator, and I'm trying to think they brought Mateer's guy from Washington State with him.
Yes,
he's the coordinator, which is Segs, one of the great. When you talk about trust about Nussmeier, the reason why Mateer may have been one of the top 2 or 3 trusted quarterbacks in college. No new system he had to learn. Bring in what Mateer learned when he was at college. Same offensive coordinator. They're both here the first year, but finishing each other's sentences.
Yes.
And Mateer played like it wasn't his first game at Oklahoma. I love his toughness. He can beat you with both. He's got a leadership and an attitude that I like at that position, and he can throw it. I think that this is one of those teams we got to keep an eye on, Segs, because of him. And I think that one guy, remember when Mayfield came there, kind of changed there's like a different swagger and attitude when he got there, like kind of a walk-on mentality, which he had been. I think Mateer brings in maturity, but there's a toughness about him that offensively, because when Oklahoma's good, they can control the line of scrimmage and the quarterback can play. And Lincoln, there every year they were producing big-time quarterbacks. Well, that toughness for Oklahoma, it's going to be simply this, Segs. How finesse and how physical are they? They looked more. Now I know the opponent was different, but for all indications in the first one, they took care of their business. I think when the season's over, he's a guy who could be invited to New York. I think he's got that skill set, and I think this is a different toughness that they needed at the position. They got it. I think he's a good player.
Yeah, like we've talked with some of these other teams, how tough can you be in such a grind of a schedule that the SEC has? And we'll kind of get a good sense of that playing Michigan, who is starting the true freshman and Bryce Underwood, but no matter what, they're always going to be the most physical team on the field.
Yeah, Segs, where's that game at?
That's in Norman.
Okay, so that's a tough. I played there in the game. We got him one year, my sophomore year, and Underwood will have to grow quick because that place is going to be rocky.
Yep, and it's going to be nighttime, so it's going to be
sit around all day.
Yep.
But the one thing that you're right about, Segs, that for the most part, that Michigan, I never have to question. It's like Wisconsin. It's like a Bielema team. That they may not be as skilled. Not saying Michigan isn't. They are.
Right.
But when they walk in the building that it's not a pillow fight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so Venables is going to have to face that offensively for his defense, and they're going to have to make a few plays, not just a few plays off schedule or to beat Michigan. Yet Mateer gives me hope that this is going to be a better game than it would have a year ago in my mind. This would have, because I think their offense this was a good hire by them, no doubt.
Yes, a year
their
ago,
coordinator and Mateer bringing him in, right?
Yeah, just a year ago would have been just a terrible game between Michigan and Oklahoma. Michigan had no pass game. Oklahoma wasn't doing much of anything.
And Venables is on the hottest seat as there is in the country as head coach. So he really is, considering where they are. He has to be.
So, I mean, you just look at this game coming up. You have Mateer and Arbuckle. Ben Arbuckle is the guy from Washington State.
There you go.
You got them new to Oklahoma, and now you've got Chip Lindsey, the OC from UNC, who left there to come to Michigan, and the true freshman Bryce Underwood, who, I mean, his arm strength is crazy, but it's not even just the arms. He's got touch. We saw all different kinds of things from him this first game against New Mexico, and he's really talented. That's going to be a fun game that, we'll preview in a few days.
Well, I got news for you. As much as those guys have coached, guess what they haven't seen? That this is, especially for the quarterbacks,
Yeah.
This is different. It's a different feel. Mateer is going to be jacked up. Underwood, this is his biggest test. He's going on against a difficult team who's coming off to now can score. You don't have to beat them 27. I mean, 27-10. They're capable of scoring points because they have a capable quarterback. So I'm intrigued with this matchup in the second week, Segs. I really am, and I'm intrigued with how Underwood responds quickly because he's a player, or he wouldn't be starting. And LSU thought they had the next great one there as well. Right. So I'm anxious to see. And it's been a minute since I felt offensively that, okay, Oklahoma's back. They may not be Lincoln Riley back, but they're closer than they've been in the last couple of years for sure.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Something we used to do on our show together, the Wrath of Sean. We're going to bring that back.
Yeah, we'll start on this. Well, if I was wrapping
today, right now,
if I was wrapping today, Segs,
just give me anything.
It would be on. For me, I'd be wrapping on how quickly, not just Arch Manning, how quickly Bill's a hack. Kalen DeBoer's done, but his is on the second year. Arch Manning can't play. Clemson
won't be
sucks.
In the NFL.
Clemson sucks. Nussmeier's the first pick of there. All those can be true, but Florida State's back. Alabama's done. Carson Beck's a Heisman Trophy candidate. You get my point? I would wrap on how quickly we are, that the energy you had a week ago, that in 1 week it can change how fucked up mentality is. But I can go off on that on every week on sports and social media. But it just rears its head. Yes.
Drives me insane.
Yes.
I mean, just watching, I don't care where it's at. If it's ESPN, if it's, certain sports shows we watch on Fox this or that.
It's an embarrassment.
It's just
right.
It's
From
awful.
people you say, you know better than that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that you're to stop the click. So, and we buy it. We all do it. But I like the fact that now you got to tell me exactly what happened instead of speculate. That's part of it. So that's part of it. But the wrath will be something, and it may be a wrath on something good.
Yeah.
How it's just not the wrath of Sean. We'll start that not tomorrow. Trey Wingo will join tomorrow. So we'll get Trey Wingo tomorrow. He'll talk, and Trey's got a big opinion on both college and the NFL. And then we'll do that every day at 12:30, the wrath of Sean. And it'll be just a minute, 30, 60 to 90 seconds. And then we'll respond out of it.
We'll end the show as we get towards the end here. End the show on what was probably the best part of the sports weekend. And that was just everybody, including Fox Big Noon Kickoff, just celebrating Lee Corso and what he's meant to college football for 72 years, I want to say. He's been around the sport and last College Game Day this past weekend. And, I'm someone who I was very, I don't want to say harsh, but I was a critic to the point where I thought this should have happened probably 5 years ago. You could just see the decline.
3 for sure, probably.
I hated them, just putting him out there, and you could just tell he wasn't fully mentally there. And so that bugged me that they did that to him, I thought. But the way they took him out was awesome, and just to watch him and Kirk one last time and the headgear and everything, it's just something that's meant so much to college football since I was a little kid that, it's crazy to see him go, but also I think it's time.
It's time, sure. Yeah, and it's hard to realize. Even at 90, right? I think Lee pushing 90 right at. First of all, I love Lee Corso. I'm fortunate the teams I played on were 2-0 against Indiana, so we do have that. Thank goodness to Marcus Allen and that. So we were pretty good there. But Lee Corso, a phenomenal human. I don't need to repeat all this. I love him.
Yeah.
And he is too. They should have given him like a $25 million golden parachute because what College Game Day is created by him. Now, I know people behind it, but the energy, he knows football, and just his sweetheart and the way he calls him sweetheart when he's talking to people, and the not so fast, the headgear, but more importantly, entertainer. Yes. Look what it's done now. Look, we get to see Charles every week, Barkley, an entertainer. Where the X's and O's are fine, you dive into, but in truth, the entertainment part is why you watch Shaq and Chuck. I know Chuck knows basketball, and there's times when Kenny and them got to banter about it, but it's this guy's entertainment. It was classy. I loved having Fowler on there and Herb Street and the dedication from people all over the country. And it was probably a couple years late, but you know what, Sags, you get to a point, he deserved that hall pass, and he kicked ass. What was he, 6-0 or something? You deserve that hall pass till you get to go out when you're ready to go out, right? So I know they limited his stuff, but Sharp, love him. He'll miss it, but you got to have him reappear once in a while just for a second, whatever it is. But I thought it was done right. 5.1 million. It was the biggest 3 million plus during the show. The last 15 minutes was 5.1 million viewers. Hell, I even think it would have been more than that. But a legend that a lot of us got to be grateful for. He created what is the best college football pregame show in the history, and maybe the best pregame show ever. And ESPN's production of it's been great. The hosts, the from Desmond to Kirk Herbstreit and everybody in between. Lee Corso deserves to take a bow, and he deserves a golden parachute. He was fantastic, and it was time, Segs. It was, and Lee knows it as well.
Yeah.
But I thought they did a great job of going out in style, and he did a great job of middle finger in the whole world with his one after the other. If you bet with Lee Corso this week, you made a lot of good money. No doubt about it.
A lot of good money. Yeah.
No doubt.
Fun to see that with the way that ended. With
no doubt.
Corso in college.
Snakes, let's get out real quick before we close out the show. And we will dominate the trust me, Segs knows baseball as well as anybody who plays. He knows my passion for baseball. Hoops, him and I, college basketball is like one of our, as we roll along through it, we love hoops. But with football, Ryder Cup's coming up, and we'll both dive into that because I can't wait. The Euros are loaded with some Ryder Cup players, dog. That's going to be a full-blown fist fight. Their 12th guy could be the number one player in the world. They're good, but it'll be fun and competitive on our soil down at the Bethpage Black. But, college and NFL, I love it because you need 3-hour podcasts to get even half of what you want to talk about. But with the NFL sakes, kind of going into the season, is there a team in your mind that sticks out as shit? Is it Philadelphia still the clear-cut favorite as the best team in football? Or have they distanced themselves, or has the pack come closer to them, you think, this offseason?
I think the packs come a little closer. I think the top teams, I think you're still going to see your Bills, your Ravens, your Chiefs, I expect the Eagles. The NFC to me is pretty wide open after the Eagles. I don't know. That
Washington, right?
Yeah, Washington. I want to see what year 2 does with Jaden Daniels. You just look, the NFC North is going to be brutal to play in with the Vikings, Packers, Bears, and Lions.
And the Bears all got a lot of
change.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
There's a lot of change in that division. And then, adding Micah Parsons, what do the Packers think of themselves? I don't know what Jordan Love is. That's something I'm excited to talk with you about as we get going into the season and we see a couple games of him. Can he take that next step, or does this Micah Parsons trade kind of look like, oh no, like we gave up a lot to get a guy who's going to be really good for a long time, but maybe we don't have the quarterback we thought. But if there's one team that I look at that I think it's time to challenge the Eagles or whoever is the best team in the NFL, it's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I want to see him in that big game, in that Super Bowl, showing what he can do. We know how good of a player he is. I want the entire team.
You know how good a regular season player is, Segs.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Yep.
Yes.
He is.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Segs, and there's a couple. I want to see the Chargers elevate another level,
That's
too.
a team I was going to bring
I do.
up. Yep.
Where they're more of a threat on the perimeter. I want to see where – now, Jim brought some of that physical Michigan stuff, but they're still going to have to elevate. They're going to have to make some more big plays, right? We know they're going to run it. They're tough. But getting back to Baltimore, listen, when you bring up Baltimore, oh, man, they're good. Great front office. Always a great front office. An owner that doesn't meddle, a coach that's really good, a coaching staff that's really good, a coordinator that puts his quarterback in great position. And then you added Derrick Henry. Oh, yeah, that's right. His career's done. Your ass. He's a football playing Jesse last year. It is time. Now, this to me, listen, we put way too much emphasis on a quarterback. It's a quarterback. Wins and losses are just on the quarterback. Yes. But that's what we've created with salaries and our expectations. We put it on Montana. We put it on Elway. We put it on Josh Allen. We put it on Mahomes. We put it on Brady. We put it on Manning, Rodgers, Warren Moon. And guess what? Whether we like it or not, that's the judgment. We don't judge the right guard on wins and losses. Right. We do, in the film room they do, but from a public, it's, that's a quarterback loss. That's a head coaching loss. Yeah. Well, the next level if Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl this year and is the MVP in the Super Bowl, he retires tomorrow. I still think he's a Hall of Famer. You don't get 2 MVP. Don't you agree with the way he's even changed the way we go about it? I think he's improved in the pocket. But you're right. It's weird because both Buffalo, who's been going through the struggles longer with those 4 Super Bowls, so that's long. They're longing for it in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Both of those quarterbacks. But even Lamar one step ahead of it because of his MVP showings. Now, Josh He's a close second with Dak Prescott, pretty damn close too. Even though he hasn't won an MVP, he's been in the hunt and finished second. 2 years ago? So, Segs, I'm with you because you think Lamar Jackson. No matter where you hold Lamar Jackson now, I hold him in high regard. I think there's things he can still do better, but he's improved in my mind every year at something.
Yeah,
Segs, if he goes through the playoffs and wins and plays like Mahomes does, or one of these like Jalen Hurts did in the last 2 Super Bowls he's played in. The talk about Lamar Jackson, you're going to start hearing not just who's at the position currently, you're going to start hearing other whispers, right?
Yep.
And in that division, saying some of the intrigue in that division, the Cleveland Browns, I say Cleveland Browns and Browns are pissed because they want the fans of Cleveland to get better and to have a better opportunity. But their defense will show up, but what are they going to do at quarterback? I mean, can Flacco sustain this? Then Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers questions. Tomlin wins. Then you go with the Cincinnati. Can they finally play some defense, and can Burrow have a fast start? And then there's Baltimore there that you say, well, we know where they're going to be, but where are they going to end? So I think it's an intriguing division, but Baltimore at the top of the list. Lamar's going to have a great career no matter what. But Segs, there will always be, but what about this? We talk about it with Marino. I'm not saying he's damn throwing it, but that career path.
Him and Josh Allen.
That's exactly right. Marino told me a handful of years ago, and we talk about it when I see him every year at Radio Row or when I see him. Do you know what Dan told me? He said, I thought after 1984 I was going to a bunch more.
Right.
He never saw it again. So those are fleeting, and the validate. And Dan didn't need validation, but you know what? He'd give away an MVP or a passing title to get that Super Bowl. I know that for a fact too. So I just think the Ravens are. This is a moving year in January for the Ravens. The rest of the time, as far as regular seasons go, you don't want to have that team's brutal to have to deal with, and they're brutal to have to defend on the offensive side. So there's another elevation to it. But, man, we are top-heavy at quarterback. And one more team, Segs, before we get out of here for me in the NFC, who are the 49ers?
That's the team I don't want to say I've written off, but just with all the injuries, and it's continued into this training camp.
Ayuk hurt. Yes. They want people requesting trades. How good is the offensive line going to be? Not named, the big fella. There's some question marks about the team, yet they're still a top 10 gambling vote getter for to get to the Super Bowl. I don't know how good they are. I know they're good, but what? Speaking of coaches that need to get to another level. Kyle Shanahan's got to win one of these, right?
I mean, they should clearly be above the other 3 in their division. And right now,
they're not.
Agreed. I have the Rams right with them. I had Seattle.
We'll see how Sam plays again, right?
That's going to be a team to watch.
Arizona and Seattle, they confuse me week to week.
Yes. And Arizona with Kyler Murray, who I think is good, but I still don't know after all these years of Kyler Murray.
He's talented. So if you're going into a season thing, I think he's good. That one game he's going to do something. You say nobody can do that, and then the next game you're going to say, "How the hell did you throw that ball there?"
Right.
What happened? Right. So, but there are some intriguing things, but the team until they prove me otherwise, because they're physical, their offensive line's great, the quarterback's gaining confidence. Philadelphia. You got to bring it to beat them, and so I'm anxious to see how that division turns out with no Micah Parsons now, and with the Giants. How long? Where's Russ Wilson? Well, what's he going to do with this thing? And how long do you give before Brian Daboll says, you know what, the Jackson Dart's an explosive talent, we got to play him. So we'll see in September where Russ Wilson's career is headed for the rest of the time in New York.
Yeah. You mentioned it when we were talking about the college games. Who wins the battle of the line of scrimmage? And it's Philadelphia Eagles. Week in, week out, playoffs, anything. They have
on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Exactly. And that defensive line's only going to get better because they're so young that they're still growing with those guys. It's Jalen Carter and they just keep adding pieces every single year. And they just
Howie's done a phenomenal job of building that team.
It's amazing.
It really is. You know who it is? It's Ozzie Newsome. When Ozzie was every year. Every year you could have put him up as executive of the year.
And they don't care if it's a strength. They strengthen their strength, and it's the most important strength to have outside of the quarterback position.
And if the September rolls around and they need they see a piece that can strengthen them physically, they are going to do it.
Yes.
They are going to do it. So Philly fans, You don't just get to watch Kyle Schwarber hit the ball 8 million miles and
Right.
do what he's doing and be an MVP guy. You get to watch this doggone Philadelphia Eagles team. But we'll break down heavily the opener with Dallas and Philly. How far did Dallas fall? Future, maybe not. But in the present, they got worse with this trade seg.
Big
So
time.
we'll knock that out as well as we roll through the weekend. It's great to have you a part of this, my man. And I know you're pumped for it, and I know I am too. But they're going to get it here. Plus, we're going to do some fun segments. We like to laugh and talk shit as we always do. The Wrath of Sean will be back. We'll have our predictions. We'll do some gambling segments, Seg, where you and I pit each other against the end of the year. And loser buys, well, you can't lose because we'll both be drinking beer and spindle tap coming your way. There you go.
That's all I care is if it's beer involved, I get to drink. So
there you go. Brother, great stuff. So we'll be back at it tomorrow.
Yep.
Great start. And we'll eventually get to the point where we have a telestrator. We don't want to get two X's and O's. It's sweetheart. It's entertainment, as our guy Lee Corzo said.
Yes.
Prayers to you and thanks, Lee. But and the way ESPN and Herbie and the rest of you guys handled it. But we'll also be able to draw stuff like the last play when you saw the unblocked player for Texas and why these things matter. So it's visual as well. But we have great things in stores, and I love this time of year, Segs, because the story kind of tells itself. All we get to do is react to it.
Exactly.
Ready to do it again tomorrow, brother.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited for football season. I'm excited for NFL to finally start Thursday, and we get a Friday night game too.
Can't wait, man.
I'm just ready to do this.
And by the way, baseball playoffs are right around the corner.
Yes.
And don't blink now. We're going to have the NBA season start. I feel like we just ended that thing. And we're going to be talking about playing games and tournaments in December. It's crazy. As much as I love the NBA.
When do full shows just become about the WNBA playoffs? Is that
okay?
soon?
Well, I'll see you tomorrow, Segs. It's great to have you. Thanks for fucking up the show. Now, Segs is being replaced. He's done. Put him on IR or the IL, whatever we're calling it now in the NFL. Segs is done. Yeah, that'll be our lead segment tomorrow, 14 years from now. When your kid's playing in it, Segs, you're done.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Segs, I'll see you tomorrow. Great. Hang on, brother. We'll talk after we log off. To you guys, thanks. Spread the word. Unpaved here. And we got a lot of great stuff happening. And adding Segs to it is a great benefit for us, too. We will see you guys tomorrow after a great weekend. Now college football and NFL get to flow, and we'll be able to break down all the games, especially this Cowboy and Eagle game. Heavy favorite Eagles, but it is the opener. It is the Dallas Cowboys. Can they respond, and where are they mentally without Micah Parsons, or are they more clear mentally? Who knows? That'll be something we discuss. Trey Wingo tomorrow as well here. This is Unpaved. I'm Sean Salisbury for my guy Adam Sager and for Triple E and Laura behind the scenes. We got it going on. It's great stuff here, and it's always authentic and get it the way you want it, the right way, without hot takes being involved. We'll see you guys tomorrow.